Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Goal Talk, episode 1. Technically, it is episode 2 because the introduction is on the channel, and that was me just pretty much rambling on and on about a bunch of nonsense. But I feel like this is what the podcast is going to be like more often than not, and this is going to be primarily talking about the games and not the channel, and just an open discussion. And the response I've gotten on Twitter and on YouTube has been pretty cool. So to just update that, this is episode 1 of the regular show. There's going to be a couple segments here and there. Nothing crazy. I actually have been coordinating some guests to have on, a couple friends of mine. I'm going to definitely start with. That would probably be the best way to get things going, at least in the guests area, just because you never really know who you're going to have on. I kind of made it an open thing. If you wanted to come message me, and you still can, just figure it out. You really kind of have to have some input. I got to make sure I'm talking to somebody who will give some good insight and not just say, Girardi sucks, blah blah blah. Whatever. I would take Girardi sucks and here's why, and here's the statistical evidence. But I don't want to hear Girardi sucks. He doesn't fit you know what I mean? That's just an example. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, so here's episode 1. We're gonna start talking about it right now. So the Rangers tonight beat the Edmonton Oilers by a score of 5-3, and it was a weird game, man. I'm going to talk about specifically this game in a minute. I am not going to do this after every game. I just want to say that. Maybe every couple games or every couple weeks. I'm not really sure. That's the point of this podcast, is I'm just going to do whenever I feel like. So don't expect one after every game. But I will talk about the latest game as much as I can in a little bit. I just want to talk about the other game on Monday that I was actually there. I was at the Garden. That day, the St. Louis Blues, they absolutely whooped them every aspect of the game. The Rangers jumped on them pretty quickly. There was almost no flaws in their game. The Blues, they did have 30-something shots, and Henrik had a very good shutout, and the couple saves he had to make were good, and they were on point. But really, from the very beginning, they just jumped all over the Blues. It was their speed. They just absolutely killed them. Something that carried on to the Edmonton game was the line of Miller, Hayes, and Grabner. But that game on Monday really, really was pretty eye-opening, I thought. I mean, everybody has kind of like a blowout game like we had against Tampa. But really, that's going to happen. I think if you're the worst team in the league, that's going to happen here and there. But to do that back-to-back, usually you're going to have a kind of a letdown game after you kind of blow a team out. But surprisingly, they did pretty good. They did pretty damn good in the second game. Back-to-back, scoring 11 goals in 2 games, you can never complain about, and you're only giving up 1 in 2 games. So I'm just looking at the recap for the game against Tampa, just so it can refresh my memory. Obviously, Grabner had the hat trick, which is pretty crazy. Really, really quick. Michael Grabner is quietly becoming the most valuable, cheap pickup of the offseason. He's actually leading the league in goals right now. Or I don't know if he's leading the league, but he's definitely tied at least. Are you kidding? Michael Grabner, we knew he was fast. We remember from when he was on the Islanders, he was always fast, but according to Islanders fans, he always had trouble finishing, and he kind of had hands of stone, and he's just he seems like he's found his chemistry with this. He's been playing great, and it really, really has showed that when he's playing with the right, when he's being put with the right players. Right now, he's on the third line with Hayes and Miller, that he can be very effective. He's been good on the penalty kill as well. He had a very good shorthanded chance in the game tonight. But I keep talking about tonight. Let me just go talk about the other game really, really quick. I messed up. This is my bad, guys. I'm talking about the game against Tampa. I actually initially wanted to talk about the St. Louis game. So I'm actually looking at the wrong game recap. So Grabner had the hat trick against Tampa, and I knew that. I just had a little brain fart. I was at the game against St. Louis. My bad. This was the game where Girardi scored first, and then VZ, Nash, Zuccarello, and Hayes scored. Yeah, okay, so we have... Okay, wow, I'm trying to make this work, and I'm trying to make sure I don't mess up, but that's a pretty good one for you there, just mixing up the games. All right, so Chris Kreider, this is his first game back after missing 4 with neck spasms, and he had 2 assists. He looked good. He didn't look like he was bothered by anything. Nash had a pretty cool bank shot, which is the second of the year. Hayes did it the other day. VZ scored a power play goal. That was awesome to see Jimmy VZ continue to almost dominate on that line. I mean, Rick Nash, he's playing so well. Nash and VZ are playing so well together that who knows, maybe this could jumpstart Nash, maybe kind of revitalize his career. Not to say that it was bad, he was ever bad. I'm not one of those people who hates on Nash. Nash gets a lot of hate, and I've actually been very vocal on Twitter that Rick Nash is an extremely important part of the Ranger team. He is, now that he's a couple years down the road as a Ranger, he's an alternate captain. He's had that 41 goal season. He had a 26 goal season. Last year he was hurt for a while, but he really, really is important. I hate that people get on him for, the $8 million, it's a lot. Yes, it is a lot. I know that, you know that, but we're paying a lot. You have to pay a lot for good players, and I'm sorry. And maybe he's not that superstar, that he's not the Kane, Taves, Crosby, Ovechkin. Maybe he isn't that, but honestly, if that's like a 10 out of 10, if those players are a 10 out of 10, I would say he's an 8 out of 10. Personally, a lot of people hate on Nash, and I don't know where the offense would be without him, honestly, because a couple years ago when we traded a couple pieces to get rid of him, that big question was, okay, we had Nash, we had Gaborik, and we had Richards. So that was going to be the big 3. That was going to be the first line, and all of a sudden, Nash had Nash's first year, that was the lockout year, 2013, where Richards had an atrocious year. He actually got the nickname Drury 2.0 for that year. Luckily, he had a rebound season the year after when they went to the Cup final. But Richards had a terrible year, and Gaborik had a pretty terrible year. So when Richards was playing like shit, and then Gaborik got traded in the middle of that year for Broussard, Derek Dorsett, and John Moore, the question is after that season, who the hell is going to score goals besides Nash? And it ended up being Broussard and Zuccarello who stepped up big time. It really is amazing what the player that Derek Broussard became, and I was actually most excited about him when he came over. I mean, arguably John Moore I liked initially, but turned out he kind of flopped, and he just never developed into what his full potential. He showed glimpses of being really, really good and fast, and I don't know, just he wasn't going to get anywhere, especially on a cup-winning team. I think him and Klein were on the ice when we lost the cup in overtime. Not to say we lost the cup because it was Game 5. We were down 3-1 anyway, but, it was just too many. I guess it was too much. I guess he got too many opportunities and couldn't take advantage of them. Anyway, so that's kind of like my Rick Nash little piece. If you're hating me right now, I apologize. I am not a Nash hater. I'm not really an anybody hater. Honestly, this year I've tried to make it my goal to stay completely positive. I really got sick of the negativity on the internet and just from beat writers last year, especially because we become this spoiled fan base where we expected to get to the Cup final or like the Eastern finals every single year, and that's just not going to happen. So this fan base, I feel like, just got spoiled, and they got upset at every little thing from every little player. I mean, I think it's justifiable. That's a word, right? I think it's justified that Girardi got the hate he did, and Stahl got the hate he did, and you could say Kreider had a weird year, and Hayes had a really, really weird year, and so, it is weird. And Raanta didn't have a great year. He had, a bunch of really off games. But it really became annoying and frustrating, so I went on these long gaps from being on Twitter because it was just so unbearable to just see every game, the hate and the BS that goes with it. It was such a pain in the ass. So this year I'm trying to stay positive. I really, really want to give everybody a clean slate in my mind. Girardi especially, because I feel like people forget what Girardi and Stahl did for this franchise. To just say they suck and that they're completely terrible and they've always been terrible is kind of, it's sad to me, because there was a point in time, and it wasn't that long ago, and people can act like it's 10 years ago. 2011, the 2011 playoffs against the Washington Capitals, the Rangers were out in 5. I understand that. They weren't a great team. But at the time, that was considered a shutdown pair, and they were very good together, Girardi and Stahl specifically. And if you've been a fan as long as I have, you watch Girardi come up and you watch Stahl come up, and they were both very, very impressive defensemen. And then somewhere along the line, either the injuries caught up with Girardi, or he's just getting old now, and the system that isn't Tortorella maybe is not suitable for Girardi. Because the game is quick and he's not a quick skater, but you don't really know with him. He's kind of a more interesting case of regression. But Stahl, you kind of know what the decline in his play was. He had the concussion from his brother that he played through, and then he didn't play the first half of 2011 to 2012. And then he comes back, he's not really himself, and then he gets hit in the eye with the puck the next year. And I would honestly say, since he got hit with the puck, and he started wearing that visor, he's just been way slower, and not just production wise, and not just defensively. It just seems like he gets muscled off the puck really, really easily. And for a guy that's I don't know his height off the top of my head, I could actually look it up. Let me see. He just seems like he gets really, really easily pushed off the puck. It says he's 6'4", so he's a big motherfucker. And you'd think a defenseman who's 6'4" could, he could hold his own, but he's not. It's weird. I don't know why he's so soft. I guess I could say the same thing about Brian Boyle, why he was so fucking soft. I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't hate Boyle either. I liked him as a center, actually. I liked Boyle. People gave Boyle a lot of shit because he had one 20-goal season, and then they expected him to have 20-something goals every year. But that's not the case. Brian Boyle was not a 20-goal scorer. And it's actually on his Wikipedia page. I'm forgetting that Mark Stahl is 29. He's been around so long that I always forget. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Girardi is 31 or 32. So Girardi's older, and so I'm expecting that. But actually, speaking of Girardi, so he scored in that St. Louis game the other day. I just want to see Girardi succeed. I want to see him make the good plays and score goals. I'm really, really rooting for him. Yes, his contract, I know it's so bad, but I really just want to see a good guy play well, and I'm sure everybody does when it comes down to it, because Girardi is one of the most liked guys in the locker room, and I'm sure Stahl is too. But it is really, really bizarre to watch them, kind of go downhill. It really sucks. But it's our duty to be positive. You understand that? As fans, we have to be happy about our team. If they want us to. They want us to reward them when they play well. So I just hate logging on and seeing, everybody sucks. Fucking Nash sucks. Lundqvist sucks. I can't believe Lundqvist still gets hate. Yes, he lets in soft goals here and there. You know who else does? Every single goalie in the league. The fact that there was a fucking person on Twitter tonight talking about how Talbot is superior to Lundqvist. I mean, and don't get me wrong, Talbot played an excellent game tonight. An excellent game. And would I love to have him on the team still? Of course, but you're not going to overpay him. Our return for him was dirt cheap, and that sucks. His value was way higher when they tried to get rid of him initially, and they didn't pull the trigger, and they got I don't even remember. It was just a low draft pick, I believe. But anyway, there's just hate for everybody. It's pretty ridiculous. So that's a giant pain in the ass. All right. Anyway, let's get to tonight's game. Let's talk about the Rangers versus the Edmonton Oilers. Tonight, this is a very interesting game because the Rangers hadn't led up until the last minute of the game. Edmonton jumps out to a quick lead, and then we tie it up. They take the lead. We tie it up. They take the lead. We tie up. So it was a very, very back and forth kind of battle, and I really didn't think we were going to win tonight just on account of a lot of lazy passing, really, really bad defensive lapses in the beginning of the game. Up until about the halfway point of the game, they looked like they were sleeping. They didn't have a lot of shots at all. The only players that were playing was the Grabner, Miller, Hayes line. Honestly, that's the best line right now. Michael Grabner, as I was saying before, is playing so well. He's creating chances, and then Miller is being that big center. He goes back and forth between center and the wing, but him and Hayes are really killing it right now. Kevin Hayes is much faster this season than he was last year. He had a weird year last year where he kind of had a sophomore slump, but I say it a lot. People give Hayes shit too. But honestly, a player that big shouldn't have the hands he does, and some of the plays he's made. Go back to if you're on this channel, go watch the videos called "The Best Goals of 2014-2015," and Kevin Hayes is half of those videos. Some of the things he can do are absolutely ridiculous. Really, it's like mind-blowing, some of the plays he made. One comes to mind is the one against the Islanders. I believe it was March of 2015. I'm not really sure, but Kevin Hayes really, really knows how to handle the puck. That whole line is killing it right now. But real quick, Connor McDavid is really, really good. To say that and to not mean it, he is going to be the next big thing. He really is, because every time he had the puck tonight, it was scary. He controlled so much of the game. He looks like he's just in complete control of what's going on. He's nice and calm. I thought the Rangers actually defended him relatively well. He didn't get that many shots, but he was really, really threatening. He made a bunch of passes. He made that first Edmonton goal. He had the assist. And he's going to be the real deal. He's really, really good. He's younger than a lot of he's younger than me. He's younger than almost everyone in the league. He's no joke. And then the Puljujärvi, I think I'm saying that right. He's 18 too. Yeah, Edmonton really looks like they're turning into a good hockey team. It's been kind of a joke playing them the last a ton of years. It's been so many years since they've been good, and they look like they're finally a well put together team. Their defense is young, but it's not like they're putting nobodies out there. Like, they're putting well-established NHL players on the back end on defense, and then their offense is pretty fast. Both teams were super, super fast tonight, and that was really interesting to see. I thought that was really, really cool, but in a lot of ways, it was also like a goalie battle. Talbot and Lundqvist really kind of put on a show. Lundqvist let in a kind of soft one. I'm forgetting which one that was, but it wasn't great. It was the slap shot, or was it a slap shot? It was the one that went through his legs. And that one wasn't great, but luckily they ended up coming back, and it was a good game. It was actually a really, really good hockey game. And, hey, the Rangers keep coming back. I thought this was going to be a stinker. It looked like they were going to let this one go. Boy, Lucic is still a pain in the ass, isn't he? He's always all over the ice, and he's such a pain in the ass. Nick Holden had 2 important assists tonight, but his defense was a problem. And I did kind of talk about this last time. Actually, no, I didn't. And somebody commented this. Let me pull up some of the comments on my first podcast, because I want to talk about what you guys want to talk about, because that's always the coolest thing for me, is to see people actually caring and wanting to respond. So basically, the big news online has been Clendening has not played yet. He has been sitting, and he has been benched in favor of Nick Holden, and a lot of people are unhappy with Nick Holden. And tonight, I think, was a big example of why. Of course, he had 2 assists on the 4th and 5th goal, but so that's going to keep him in the lineup. Vigneault's going to keep him in the lineup now. Of course he is. But a lot of people want Clendening on the power play, which I do understand. I think Clendening and Puri on the power play would probably be the best power play you have, along with Nash and Kreider and Stepan. Of course, you spread them out, but that's just what I mean. But yeah, really a lot of people aren't happy with Holden, and I'm not really crazy about him. Clendening, I don't really know yet. Who knows? Maybe Clendening plays and he sucks and he's the new GOAT of the team. I guess you really never know. All right, so I'm looking at the comments of the introduction to the podcast video, and okay, let's see. Just trying to find everything. Sorry, everybody. I gotta go to all comments so I can read them. Okay, so Boppity Boopy 114 says Holden is playing and McElrath is waived. Does this not outrage you? Well, I can't say it outrages me. McElrath, to me, I was never really sold on McElrath. It really sucks because of the players we drafted, the players that were drafted after him, and we took him. I was actually at his first goal. Coincidentally, his first NHL goal was against the Oilers, and I was in the building for that one. That's irrelevant. But, yeah, he just never looked like he was going to turn into much. I mean, maybe he comes up later in the year and makes a difference, but I don't think he's going to be in the top 6. I don't think he's good enough defensively. I really don't believe that. If anything, he'll be like a I hate to say this and I hate to use a comparison, but maybe he'll be like a Stu Bickle. And by the way, speaking of Stu Bickle, this is going to be there's going to be a later segment in the show right before I sign off here. That's going to have to do with players like Stu Bickle. So fuck. All right. Yeah. So anyway, McElrath. I don't know. I'm not really crazy about McElrath, but I am really hoping they give Clendening a shot, because I would like to see that power play. And Holden has been mediocre. But honestly, if Holden's going to be the worst defenseman out of Girardi, Stahl, and Klein had a rough game against the Blues. He was better tonight. But those are 3 defensemen you have that aren't really aren't very good skaters. Real quick, I just want to apologize again for people going nuts listening to me. Is that I have a hard time always planning everything out. Like I don't have a script for this. I don't have anything. I don't write anything down. So there's going to be plenty of tripping on my words and rambling and whatever. So I apologize for all the pauses and the uhs and the ums. I really am sorry. I would control it if I could. I'm not trying to annoy you, I promise. I'm just trying to share my opinions and other people's opinions. I just wanted to get that disclaimer out of the way. But yeah, McElrath, we'll see. It's a tough call. I feel like we've seen enough of Holden now where we can give it a try. But in the meantime, he's not going anywhere, because AV likes his players. When they win, he doesn't change a thing. So, what are you going to do? It's definitely a kind of... It's out of our control, because AV is going to do what he's going to do. I guess he's going to do that regardless, but, last year people were really fed up with his lineup decisions. So that's just going to continue because, he likes what he likes, and he likes to go with people that are, I guess, not popular, the people he believes in. I don't know. What can I tell you? It's kind of cliche, but what are you going to do? By the way, Jesper Fast with an excellent redirect tonight. That was an awesome deflection to get them back in the game. It was a really, really good game for the Rangers. What it came down to is that the Rangers didn't play too well, and then in the third period they took advantage of the mistakes that Edmonton made. Fast redeems himself after taking that double minor in the beginning that led to the first Edmonton goal, and he gets a huge goal to tie it. Rick Nash with an insane goal. He's really been playing well. He has the game winner tonight, so I don't want to hear he's not clutch. Oh, but it's November. It's not the play. Whatever. A very, really, really clutch goal to give the Rangers the win. Super important player on the team right now. And he always is. Let's see. I'm just looking through the recaps of the NHL.com. It's going to be interesting. I'm really excited about this team this year. Really, really happy with what they're doing right now. They're 8-3. The New York Rangers are 8-3, and last year they started off really good too. But that was smoke and mirrors. This year they look legit. They look like they're really attacking teams right off the jump, and it's really, really good. I'm excited to see where this team goes. I've had more fun watching these bunch of... Last year, I'm telling you, I got pretty bummed by, I think, around the time March came around, because that was when it looked really, really negative, and they started playing like shit, and it was just no good. It definitely wasn't good. But this year, I am extremely excited, and I'm really, really enjoying watching these games, and especially because there's been these games that kind of start off a little boring, nothing going on, like this Edmonton game. That game against Boston a couple weeks ago was pretty boring, nothing really happening. The Garden was silent. But then they turn them into these really exciting games. The Rangers came back against Boston, and they kept chipping away at Edmonton and ended up with the win. So, yeah, I what can I say? They're really, really fun to watch, and I'm gonna just about wrap it up now. Normally, I think if I have guests on, there's gonna be a segment where we talk about some other sports, like miscellaneous sports at the end. The Chicago Cubs are the World Series champions. Can you take that in for a minute? Regardless of who your favorite team is, the Chicago Cubs are the 2016 Baseball World Series champions. And hey, we said the world didn't end in 2012, but we have the worst election in history coming up next week, and we have the Cubs winning the World Series, which is absolutely insane. Okay, to wrap this up, this is a segment I'm going to do, I think, once on the podcast every time. I want to do this because this kind of is a hashtag on Twitter here and there, and I'm just going to focus in on one for each one. So this is going to be Forgotten Rangers. I'm going to talk about a player that... you might remember him, but, you haven't thought about him in a minute. And by a minute, I mean a long time. Sorry, that's some lingo I have. I'm going to talk about past Rangers that you definitely probably forgot about at one point or another, and you could yell at me and say, I remember him, he was on whatever. I'm just talking to the, normal, not diehard fan. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about somebody I mentioned on the last podcast, the intro podcast, and that was Darryl Powell. Darryl Powell, a Canadian former professional ice hockey player who played 6 seasons in the league. He played for the Flyers, the Wild, and the Rangers. He seemed to be a favorite of Tortorella because he fucking played so many games in the lockout shortened season. Which it was only 40. Let's see how many games he played. I have his Wikipedia up here. He was on the Flyers. He's an undrafted free agent. Made his debut 2008, blah, 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 whatever. And then he was traded to the Wild. And then was just a role player on the Wild. And then the Rangers traded Mike Rupp, the outdoor hero, at the beginning of the 2013 lockout shortened season to get Powell. And then let's see. Let's look at his impressive stat line for that season. He played, 34 games he had. He had 34 games, including 3 playoff games. And before you guess, I'm gonna let you guess. How many points do you think he had through all of these games? 34 games and 3 playoff games. He's got 37 total games with the New York Rangers. He actually has 38. He played 1 game in 2013-2014. And I was at that game. That was a game against the Devils. I got good memory. Don't test me. In all those games with the Rangers, he had 0 points. He didn't score 1 point with the Rangers. You see, this is why this is weird with Tortorella. I understand defensive specialists, but even defensemen, the most hardcore defenseman, the most defensive defenseman in the league will put up points. I feel like if I put on the equipment and strapped on some fucking skates, and I played in 37 games, I feel like I could kind of fall ass backwards into a secondary assist, I don't know. That seems pretty mind-blowing to me. But I'm hoping you forgot about Darryl Powell, because then that makes this segment kind of pointless. But we'll touch on different ones. That's just the forgotten Ranger of the thing. I hope he's doing well. He's retired now. But hey, what a fucking interesting player, huh? He didn't do anything with us. I know that he got knocked out on the ice, I believe. If I can remember correctly, it was a game against I think it was the Capitals. Some game against the Capitals where he got knocked on his ass, and I think I remember that. But other than that, I think that was the most productive thing he did. I'm not trying to be negative, but that's just the whole part of the segment. It's just to talk about weird Rangers, weird forgotten players. But hey, all right, I'm gonna wrap this up. I never introduced my name again. My name is Jake. I'm the creator of this Every Rangers Goal channel. This has been Goal Talk, and thank you for listening. I hope to see you on the next one, and hopefully on the next one I'll have a couple of guests. All right, guys. I will see you next time. Let's go Rangers.